Hey everybody, it's Allie, and welcome to our Y&R Chat for Sunday, November 23rd, 2025. Congratulations, Danny and Christine! Pass the tissues! I cried when Nina arrived. I cried when Gina arrived. I cried when Ghost Paul sent the bouquet. I even cried when I saw that Danny was wearing a pin with a C on it instead of a boutonniere. I cried when Christine arrived at the top of the stairs looking like the angel that she is in that soft lighting. And I cried when all of the flower petals fell down from heaven upon them. Oh my goodness, I really truly did. I felt the tears coming early, and then I told myself, you know what, Allie, you've worked hard this week. Why don't you just go ahead and let it all out? I gave myself permission to just go ahead and cry. What a gift. What a gift. But it wasn't all just tears. I was laughing too. I mean, the absurdity of Christine receiving a bouquet of mums, a flower that she is allergic to, right? As she was getting ready to get married, right there on her wedding day, and then she was just scurrying around the room, itching and panicking and thinking this was going to ruin her day and assuming that it was Phyllis. Of course it was Phyllis. Clearly it would have to be Phyllis. But in the end, Nina, just as she was sitting down, just before the ceremony started, Nina overheard Esther bragging about the bouquet of moms that she had sent to the bride. That was so funny and so cute. Mwah! Pure perfection. Oh, sure, I could be nitpicky, and I could complain that we got married in a restaurant. But I feel like the athletic club set was switched up just enough that it actually did feel like a new space. They had added some draperies that were a totally different color sense. And then there were chandeliers, and you know I loved all of those roses. And I don't know, I just felt so happy for Danny and Christine. I just felt so happy on Friday. I mean, dang. I was there. You were there for all of the heartache that those two have had. And this just really felt like it was their story coming full circle after decades. I mean, I don't know about you, but even though Christine chose Paul, I always knew Danny was the one. I always knew it. And OMG, I freaking love Gina. I need more Gina every day of the week. Because I especially loved when she went toe to toe with Phyllis. I don't know if you guys remember, but I remember that Gina always knew what Phyllis was up to. She always had a sense about Phyllis, even when Danny didn't. And Gina was always defending her brother. So that was really fun to see that come full circle too. And it just took me right back. I loved it a lot. And yes, I know a lot of people will be complaining about Phyllis, like, why did she have to butt into this wedding at all? Why did Danny give her the time of day? Why didn't he just toss her out? But the chaos is the whole point. I mean, Phyllis is what drove them apart all those years ago, and it was so annoying. I vividly remember in those early days wanting so badly just to fast forward all of the Phyllis hijinkery. But now we're all these years later, practically in a different world, as Christine said in her vows, and I feel like Phyllis had to be there for the circle to be complete. I am so happy for Phyllis, I could cry some more. I mean, it has been years since we have seen her with anyone, let alone the hot, young, billionaire punk that just strolled into town on his steam engine. Choo choo. I mean, I couldn't be more thrilled for her. I mean, seriously, who even was the last person that Phyllis kissed? I can't even remember the last person she would have kissed. Nick, probably. Maybe Billy? But all of that has been so long. And man, they tore that hotel room up. Phyllis does not do anything halfway. She was like thrashing and flailing, and he was just trying to wrangle her, trying to go along with it, flashing his baby blues and those shoulder muscles. It was all over too fast. That could have stretched out through a couple of commercial breaks. Honestly, I have not been that glued to my screen in a while now. I mean, I literally could not look away. My eyeballs got a little dry. Oh. And then wouldn't you know it, as soon as they walk out of the room and down into the lobby, Lily was right there to see it all. After she had just been defending Cane, first to Maddie over the phone, and then to Adam and Chelsea at the restaurant, and then made a special trip to the ranch to talk to Victor. I mean, all of that hard work that Cane did to try to win her over the past several months had finally taken root, and then bam, she took one look at Cane and Phyllis together and she was like, forget it. But are Cane and Phyllis for real? Are they for real? I don't know, because I was sort of gagging at their pillow talk, thinking, please, no, just stop. Let's stop talking right now. We do not need to have a conversation right now. If you want to go for a round two, go ahead, but we don't need to talk about it. But they did have a conversation later at the coffee house that was worthwhile, because as soon as they finished the deed and Phyllis hopped up to go take a shower, Cane found his way over to her laptop, and he was trying to hack into it by guessing the password, which is so ineffective for on-the-spot treachery. I mean, I don't think I could even possibly guess my own mother's password. How could Cane just expect to pop right into an expert hacker's secret system? I mean, these days, your password has to be a combination of letters and numbers and special characters. And Cane was like, let's try I hate Christine 123. It was a legitimate guess, though. But of course, Phyllis saw him, pretended not to see him, but saw him, just let the shower water run in the background while she stood there watching him. And then later at the coffee house confronted him about it in a totally casual way. Like she knew it was coming all along. And I liked that. She wasn't offended. She expected it. I think Phyllis knows. She knows that he knows that she stole his AI program and that he wants to prove it. Is Cane still going to be able to afford a private chef that makes chocolate souffles? I mean, his entire empire is being drained away as we speak. I'm pretty sure that Holden is about to get the axe. I don't know if it's going to be assumed or if Cane will actually fire him, but Lily made sure to tell Holden all about it this week. Lily, always the bearer of good news and positivity. What's it even matter to Holden, really? He's been in LA for weeks, not lifting a finger, so I don't know. Was he really doing a job in the first place? Maybe he can get a job working at the coffee house with Esther. Okay, I loved how flattered she was by him. She was just lapping it up. Everything that he was serving, she was just lapping it up like a cappuccino. Like charm was on the menu and she said, 2 please. I love it. Holden was making plans to get an apartment in town so that he could stay in Genoa City. And Esther said, well, why don't you just use the bulletin board that's back there on the patio? I thought that was hilarious because that bulletin board has been there forever and nobody ever mentions it or uses it. Maybe one time somebody used it, but you know, it made me happy that the bulletin board got a shout out. And it made me happy that Holden gave Esther his phone number just in case some apartments came up, you know, if she heard about anything. Oh, you better believe it. Esther is definitely going to be on the lookout for apartments so that she can dial those digits. Crazy crazy Esther. Man, crazy Esther. She's the best. I mean, why doesn't she just buy the coffee house from Sharon already so we can see more of it? Claire is really on a power trip, isn't she? She has freed herself from any obligation to Holden or Kyle. And she has Grandma Nikki's approval to just go ahead and be free. And now Claire has called Billy, offering to give him the scoop on Audra so that Audra can be publicly humiliated. Well, that's a real grand idea. It's all juicy and all, but Abbott Communications is not going to run a scandalous article about Audra, not with Sally, her best friend, at the helm. Sally is not going to betray Audra, and Billy is not going to betray Sally by going around her to publish it. So I don't know. Oh, but hey, Adam found out this week that Jill is the one funding Abbott Communications, but I don't see how Victor and Adam think that even for 1 second that Jill is going to just pull the rug out from under her own son. Not again. Why would she do that just because they say so? Phyllis is getting a hot young boyfriend, and Sharon gets to confront yet another rapist this year. Life is so unfair, even in soaps. Okay, well, Mitch Matt was banging at Sharon's hotel room door as the fire alarm was going off. I was like, can somebody please shut this off? And he pushed his way into her room, and then there was this moment where she like backed up and then fell down onto the couch, and he was standing over her, and I just thought, ugh-a-roo, that's so gross, and I don't want to see it. He was insisting that all he wanted to do was talk to Nick and Sharon and give them the info that they need to rescue their son Noah, who, unbeknownst to them, has been kidnapped with Sienna and tossed into a storage room with no food and no water and no bathroom. Ooh. They're going to be on the trail next week, don't worry. But this week, Nick was at the club that Mitch owns, talking to the cops about how they're going to bust Mitch. That didn't seem like a very safe place to have that secret conversation. But apparently, what they said was, the police said, well, we're already on to Mitch. We've been on to him for a while. In fact, he's running a drug operation out of this place. And the cops insist that they're actually working undercover to bust Mitch, to put him away forever. And they're just, they're happy to take any of Nick's information about Matt Clark and Mitch's previous life. But, the thing is, I just don't know who to believe now. The hot detective had another lady detective with him, but I didn't see a badge, and if they did show badges, they could be fake. I don't know who to trust. Easily the two, quote, detectives could be working together to throw Nick off the scent. We know that the detective had that, moment at the door with Noah right before Noah went missing. But, but I don't know. What if in the end, I think it would be an interesting twist if Mitch was trying to meet with Nick and Sharon to try to save Noah. I don't know how that would work, but it would be a fun twist if we're assuming Mitch is a bad guy and maybe he's not. Maybe Noah unknowingly got mixed up into something and Matt had knowledge of it and is trying to help. Maybe he's not even the one who kidnapped them after all. Or what if he is telling the truth and he's not Matt Clark and he's just an evil twin? Forever starts right now. Can that just be... I feel like that could be the catch line for soaps. Forever starts right now. That's the greatest line that I think I have heard in ages. Who said it? If you think you know, go to yrchat.com and find out if you're right. Let's read some comments, starting with Diana. Diana says, I wanted to add that I'm really enjoying the Noah and Sienna storyline with Matt Clark, and I love the new club set, as well as Claire, Holden, and Kyle triangle. Diana, I hope you're doing well. I was thinking of you this week because I knew that you were going to love that Danny and Christine wedding. I know you're a little behind, but you're going to love it when you get there. Well, I asked all of you guys last week if you would give the return of Matt Clark a thumbs up or a thumbs down. 58% of you give it a thumbs up. Wow. That's a pretty split though. 42% giving it a thumbs down. Russell says, yes, I am enjoying the Matt Clark story. It seems fresh at the moment. I'm a little concerned with another apparent kidnapping, but we'll see. Marianne V voted no to Matt Clark returning. He was an awful character, and I was glad when he died twice. Now here we go again. Roger Haworth does a good job playing him, though. Yes, and Tony says, trick question, the return of Matt Clark is interesting in Sharon's year of torment. But that means he has to die again. The return of Roger Haworth is genius, but he is so good. I would like for him to have stayed. Maybe a lawyer to rival Michael. Maybe a mean husband of Noah's new girlfriend. Maybe anybody we could keep for a while. You know, I think you're right, Tony. It is a little bit of a trick question because it's like, how do you feel about Matt Clark is one thing, but how you feel about the actor who's playing him is kind of another. And I do agree that the actor is so good it makes you want a thumbs up. He's definitely got a personality and he interests me, but the darkness of the return of Matt Clark, although it's almost like an assumed darkness. He has these moments where he's seeming ominous, but to me I wonder if that is a red herring. Heather voted no to Matt Clark. She said, I'm not a big fan of bringing back characters, specifically the dead ones. I loved that Y&R wasn't really keen on those storylines, but now it's happening a lot. I think it's great that Noah has a storyline, and I love the breakup with Allie, and then the Sienna love affair / backstabbing story. But why does it have to be tied to a character from the past? Write new stories with new characters, and please finish the background story of characters who have been on for a good few years. Yeah, Holden and Audra. I mean you. Not a fan of returns from the dead. Tina Cole says, I'm okay with the Matt Clark story, as long as it doesn't make Christmas time feel too dark. I want to feel cozy around the holidays. As I'm typing this, I'm looking forward to the Abbott Christmas tree unveiling, as well as the Newman Ranch decorated. Ugh, I was so happy when I saw Ashley come through the door for Thanksgiving, and it's funny because my eyes instinctively went over to the spot where I know the Christmas tree is going to be. I literally had that thought as soon as Ashley walked through. I thought... I had an instinctual Christmas flash, oh, we're going to be decorating the tree that's going to be sitting right there any minute now. Yeah, I agree. I like the holidays. I want to enjoy the holidays, and that certainly doesn't mean that I don't want drama. But man, the darkness, not going to lie, I gave this story a thumbs diggity down. Well, Tina Cole says, I'm not sure if it would work, but I found it ironic that Sienna said they have nothing to pick the locks with when she has so many necklaces as options to try. Tina Cole, I love you. I mean, really, there had to have been something on one of those 5 necklaces. Russell says the hinges on Noah and Sienna's room are on the inside, so just get those hinge pins out and walk out. Yes, always look at the hinges on the door. I learned that from soaps, Russell. Well, Sherrod says, the actor and actress playing Sienna and Noah played mother and son on Days of Our Lives for years. I feel like maybe I haven't fully let that piece of information sink in for me because I don't watch Days of Our Lives, so it doesn't affect my viewing at all. But that is such a weird choice, right? I mean, why would Y&R do that? Why would they take a mother and son from another soap and make them lovers on their soap? I wonder if it was to be shocking. Was it a ratings grab? Like they want people to go, oh, what? And then they start watching Y&R? I don't know. Odd choice. Phyllis is old enough to be Cane's mother, but I couldn't care less. I want to ask you guys a poll question this week. Phyllis and Cane, hot or not? If you'd like to vote in that poll, go to yrchat.com and let me know. Are you feeling the heat? Calmness says Phyllis and Cane are hot. And I'm actually rooting for a softer romantic connection to grow as well. A slow burn, as they called it. My ideal storyline would be if Cane gets back together with Lily because she wants it, but then he very quickly realizes that Phyllis is the woman he loves and then dumps Lily on her pretty face. Oh, that's scandalous. I kind of like that. Like maybe there's an assumption that this is temporary and then he gets back together with Lily and realizes, wait a minute, Phyllis was the one all along. Kind of like that, Kamna. Well, Victoria says, what a waste of water. Phyllis took a hot, steamy shower hoping Cane would join. Then she dressed in the same outfit she had just taken off. Maybe she's into conservation now. Yeah, it was driving me nuts that water was just running and running and running in the background. Russell says, Cane and Phyllis's sex was a bit aggressive, if not clumsy. And did Cane shave his chest for this? I seem to remember not so smooth when his shirts were unbuttoned down to his belly button. Okay, first of all, you're right that there was something about this sex that was like aggressive but also awkward and fumbly. I just think Phyllis is so dang wild. She can't be tamed. I'm surprised he didn't have to handcuff her to that bed. But the more important question, Russell, is, did Cane shave his chest for this? Because I was subconsciously wondering the same thing. I remember that chest being very hairy when we had nothing but shirts unbuttoned down to his belly button, but this chest was smooth. Because I kept going to myself, I made a mental note to check out Cane's chest when he was shirtless, but something did feel missing now that you mention it. Robin says, I wish Phyllis wouldn't seem so weak by asking Cane if he likes her in every sentence. She comes off desperate, which is her normal, I guess. You know what, Robin, I do agree. Like, I felt cringy. I don't want to have the conversations. I would rather them be, we don't need to talk about this. We did it. We own it. We don't need to talk about it. We don't even need to justify it. Yeah, it did come off as a little like, do you really like me? Yeah, I didn't like that. Didn't appreciate that. Steven says, isn't the #1 rule for wedding invites, keep your friends close and your enemies closer? A sensible bride would have Phyllis duct taped in a corner closet. Yes, Steven. Why? Yeah, Christine could have had Phyllis duct taped right into that coat closet right as you come into the athletic club, and none of that would have ever happened. Oh, wait, no, except it was Esther. Naomi says, Danny saying Phyllis just loves too hard and doesn't know what to do with it is a perfect summation for her. And how gracious of Danny to say this instead of bashing her to Daniel. It's truly a miracle that Danny can be kind and forgiving toward Phyllis. I know, he's an angel, isn't he? And I mean, at the end of the day, it's like Phyllis is the mother to his son, and he doesn't want to ruin that. You know, he doesn't want to sully that relationship. I do think that he tolerates her as much as he does because he loves his son. Even though, yes, Daniel's not his biological son, but that is not the point. Sharon W. says, I loved it when Phyllis walked up the athletic club stairs, ripped a flower from the staircase garland, and threw it at Daniel. She threw it so hard you could hear it hit his jacket. That is more of her perfect comedic timing. Yes, now, I mean, you guys know I love Michelle Stafford, but I mean, the fact of the matter is she's a comedic actress where she has that strong element to her performances. Of course, she does drama, but she's an excellent comedic actress, and I think maybe that's what people miss about her. I think maybe they see the big and the brash and don't realize that she's giving you a comedic performance, and that Rose moment was really, really funny. Brent says, just watched Tuesday's episode. Of course, Michelle Stafford's looking great at 60. But does it bother anyone besides me that nearly all the actors on the show look the way they do, given that they eat and drink such scrumptiously and drink so scrumptiously and so often? When I say drink, I don't just mean alcohol. How many of Esther's Mexican mochas or cocos or whatever else can one drink during the day before it starts to show on the waistline? I'm jealous. Yeah, I mean, like, the number one rule of weight loss is do not drink your calories, so forget it. I mean, black coffee for me, please. But Sue W. says, Genoa City is a magical world full of insanely gorgeous people. Others are not allowed to move in. 'Tis the soapy rule. That is true. One must be gorgeous to live in Genoa City. No uggos allowed. Well, Connie says, I'm so excited. It's the wedding day and I will be watching in real time today. Oh, Connie, you know what? That is exceptional. And it is so rare. And I mean, Y&R is not going to air live on TV like that forever. So, I mean, if we're ever home during the day and have, you know, cable or still have the old TV, we should be sure to tune in and watch a Y&R live while we still can, especially a special episode like this. So well done, Connie. It's a great sensation. I mean, that's totally different. It's a different experience watching that show live. And that's how we all used to do it. But little by little, you know, a lot of us have moved over to streaming. That's how I do it. I watch it at night and it's much more convenient. But there is something about that live broadcast that just, it can't be beat. Okay, well, Sue W. says, I had to jump ahead my unseen episodes to watch today. And woohoo, it did not disappoint. It was perfection through and through. From both Gina and Nina's returns to Chris and Danny's oh so predictably cheesy vows. This episode was a real treat for longtime viewers and loyal viewers looking forward now to the reception. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the reception too. Phyllis is going to come out and make a toast and we're all going to be like, ugh. But I hope the reception is fun and seeing people mingle is fun, and especially with Gina and Nina in the mix and Amy. Yay! Surprised Nate didn't bring Victoria as his date. Well, Amy was his date. But I also love that Gina did have a moment where Amy introduced Nate as Nathan Hastings' son, and Gina said something like, oh, he got his looks from his father, and then she just kept on going. She just like made a little pass and kept on moving, and I said, Gina, I love you. A girl after my own heart. Russell says, I was a little worried about Cricket coming down those stairs in that dress, and especially those shoes. I sort of thought she might have been worried too. Yes, I know. She did. There was a little moment where she did look a little like, am I going to make it? And Daniel held out his hand and she made it safely to the bottom. Yes. Daisy says, I loved seeing Gina and I hope she returns for more episodes. Ooh, another Gina fan. Me too. Victoria says, what a great wedding. How perfect to have Gina there for Danny. I wonder if she will sing at the reception, although Gina says she doesn't sing anymore. I would love seeing Nina, Amy, and Tracy together. Amy looked radiant. Her dress and her hair was amazing. Apparently, she's a karaoke queen. Maybe she too will sing at the reception. The stars of the show did not disappoint. Danny and Christine looked so happy and sentimental. What a treat for Y&R fans. Oh, I am so glad that you guys love this. I appreciate that you guys are so positive on this. It was very special and I enjoyed it too. And I do not want anyone else singing with Tessa and Daniel at the reception because I want to feel the Tessa and Daniel chemistry. I want to see how that goes. I want them to perform their song together and I want to feel it fully as they're clearly going to become a couple. Sharon W. says the previews next week showing all the couples at the Abbott Mansion give us something to look forward to. Yes. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, I didn't do a best dress, but I think Diane looked stunning in, I don't know, I guess it was sequins, I don't know, or beads or jewels. She was shiny. She was shiny, but it was in sort of a blue, a light blue, a icy blue. She looked really good. Anybody else have any good best dressed? I totally should have done this. I liked Gina's suit. She had like a bedazzled suit. It was really nice too. Well, let's take a look at our fill in the blank for the week. We'll wrap up on this. This week's suggestion for the fill in the blank comes from Victoria. So here's Victoria's fill in the blank line. A soap opera trope I'd like to see is... a soap opera trope. Well, let's see what the crowd says. A soap opera trope I'd like to see is outrageous cat fights with stunt people that don't look anything like Jill or Catherine. Yeah. That's hilarious. A soap opera trope I'd like to see is the forgotten sibling or child who inherits everything. That happened to Devon. A soap opera trope I'd like to see is a fake fatal illness, or there's always the swapped out paternity test. Yep. Paternity issue, surprise pregnancy and who's the father. The soap opera trope I'd like to see is a hidden tryst, like Jack and Gloria. Yes. A good old-fashioned affair. A long-lost, stolen, relinquished baby revealed decades later as a surprise. And the soap opera trope I'd like to see is a charity ball, gala, or party where formal fashion is on display. Well, not for nothing, but if you would like to attend a glittering green and gold gala with fabulous forest fashion and a cat fight and a musical number, the Fauna and the Flora is waiting for you this week to fill your Y&R no episode time on or around Thanksgiving. That 10-hour long audiobook read by me is available on Audible, and you can get to that through Amazon. And if you have time, you can just let me casually read this book to you at any pace that you would like. It's a wonderful, wonderful experience. I've been re-listening to the audiobook, sort of in a lot of ways listening to it for the first time as just a listener, trying to, not be the author and just sort of experience the story. If you are keeping up with my other YouTube channel, we're up to, I think, chapter 18, and it is getting fun. It is getting deeper and deeper. I sent out 3 signed editions of the paperback this week. signed edition number 6, I think might have been a gift, so I don't want to spoil it by saying who it was for. So let me know when it's safe to say, but I'll hold that back for now. Signed edition number 7 went to my chatter friend Sharita. She is going to flip when she sees it. Number 8 and 9 went to my local library, and they asked me to do a reading. They asked me if I'd be interested in doing a reading. How about that? Local author. And number 10 went out to Kathy, and she emailed me too saying that she thought it was beautiful and she loved it and she's going to read along with the book club. So thank you all so much. I'm just so happy that other people are able to experience and love this story, and I assure you it gets good. It gets really good. Nobody has told me that they've made it to the end yet, because if you had, you definitely would have let me know. If anybody wants to be lucky number 11 on the signed editions, you can go to restlessforest.com, because by the way, if you love Danny and Gina Romolati, you will love Tanny and Zena Romolati. She owns the hottest restaurant in town that no one has burned down yet. Okay, everybody, that is a Y&R Chat. You should go to yrchat.com to leave your comments for the week, vote in the poll, see all of the beautiful Danny and Christine wedding photos, and come back next week and we'll do it all again. Oh, I love you guys, and I hope you have a very happy Thanksgiving. Bye.